Sung Jinwoo died, but was it the end? After Sung Jinwoo defeated the architect, he showed him some of his stored memories. He saw waves of monsters fighting an army of winged warriors. It was an epic battle. The Silver Warrior's victory was so close, but the appearance of one man changed everything. The Shadow Monarch resurrected the fallen enemies and managed to turn the tides. Victory was near, but one variable changed everything. Then Sung woke up and attacked the architect and managed to finally put an end to him. And after some time, the Beast, the Frost, and the Plague Monarchs acknowledged how dangerous Sung is, so they teamed on him. It was a fierce battle between them, but Sung managed to take down the Plague Monarch. But the Frost Monarch plan was perfect. He froze, Sung summons, and managed to deplete him from mana. And with the Beast, Monarch's help, they managed to overpower him. And Sung Jinwoo died. But his death was actually the condition to activate his secret passive skill. He woke up in the same hospital he went to after the double dungeon incident. But something unusual happened. It was like he came back in time and he realized that this was an illusion made by the Shadow Monarch, and he finally met him. The Monarch made an offer for him to stay in this dream he made for him, which is called the Eternal Rest. And he told him that they are one being, and he was waiting for their meeting, and he showed him the beginning of everything. The monarchs understood what is happening, so they tried to finish him, but the legend himself appeared. Sung's father guarded him with his life, and we got to know that there is a ruler to this world, and that he split the light to create the emissaries, which are the Angle warriors we saw, and split the darkness to create the sovereigns, which are the monarchs. But war was raging between them, so they asked the ruler to aid them in the war. But the ruler ignored their request, as it was entertaining for him. They came to conclusion that as long as the ruler is alive, the war will never end, and they started a rebellion. And the Shadow Monarch told Sung that he was the only emissary who stood against the rebellion, but his strength wasn't enough, but something awoke inside him. The ruler gave him a remnant of his power, and he became the Shadow Monarch. And he managed to win the war, but it was all in vain. As when he returned, the ruler was already dead, and the emissaries became the new rulers and began their war. The situation was bad, and that's why the Shadow Monarch sided with the sovereigns to fight their common enemy. But when the war progressed, two monarchs betrayed the Shadow Monarch and nearly killed him, but he managed to defeat them and absorb the Monarch of White Flames. And after that, the emissaries came to him and asked for forgiveness and to stop the war. But he refused to forgive them and asked them to just kill him and end this war, but they didn't. Then he retreated and planned to get his revenge after he recovers his power. And he also joined his forces with the King of Dragons, Monarch, and they went on searching for a new world to build their army in, and that led them to Earth, and that was the beginning of the end to the humans. The Earth became what Jinwoo saw in the Demon Castle, and that forced the rulers to send their forces to Earth, but it was already the end for it, and that made them use their strongest forbidden weapon, the Cup of Reincarnation. With its ability to return back time by 10 years, they tried countless times to save the world, but the Earth was too weak to handle the war between the two forces. Humans were too weak, and that led them to their last choice, to save only those who are worthy, and that was the beginning of Hunters. But the Cup of Reincarnation had one flaw. The monarchs were able to notice that the time was being reversed and adjusted their plans, and they reached a stall when the cup reached its limit. So they changed their plan by lending humans their powers, and the monarchs also did the same to surprise the rulers when they reach Earth. But for a monarch to descend on Earth, they need a powerful host, and that made it impossible for the Shadow and the Destruction Monarch to get a host. And that's when the architect came with his plan, the system. They searched for a suitable host for a long time, and that's when they saw Sung Jinwoo. The architect opposed the idea, but the Shadow Monarch chose him. But for Sung to handle his power, the architect slowly used the system to prepare Sung for the monarch descend, just like a game. And when Sung was ready, the monarch had to choose which side he will join, and in the end he chose Sung, and they became one. At the end, he offered him either to continue in this dream he in with endless happiness, or to continue his war against the sovereigns, and Jinwoo chose war. And now he finally became the real Shadow Monarch.